trí để violence against women and children in Vietnam. And now to start with, in this very Hanoian, traditional Hanoian ambience like this, we really love to invite all of the distinguished guests to, and as well as the news agency to participate in a very special organization that we prepared for the whole program. It is being closed in the space of our program today. Um, so now please move forward and you can have a tour around the exhibition with the guided of Claire Driscoll. And if you want to translate it into Vietnamese, please bring your earphone with me, because it is used in the language used in this guided exhibition tour is in English. So if you want to listen to it in Vietnamese, please bring it with you, the earphone with you. And now you can go to Miss Claire Disco, the one that just raised her hand. Yeah, so xin chào quý vị.
Hi everyone, good morning. If anyone haven't got their headphones and they want headphones for translation, do you want to get some now?
Nếu quý vị nào muốn được nghe
Yeah, so if anyone wants to use your earphone for the translation in Vietnamese, please take it with you. It is placed in your seat. Thank you. Và vâng, bây giờ thì
Giving you all a quick tour of the exhibition before you begin your launch today. So my name's Claire Driscoll, and I'm the founder of a company called Workroom 4, and we worked together with the organisers to design the exhibition. So I know that it's hot and busy at the moment, so you won't have time to look in detail at every single part. But what I want to do is just introduce you to every single element so that you'll be able to participate after the main event is over. So the exhibition is an interactive exhibition. You'll be able to see some little signs to help your way around all throughout the building. I'm not going to walk you around because I think it's too kind of chaotic. So you can see here we start at the introduction, and we wanted to create an exhibition where people can begin to connect with their emotions, be able to have a kind of a more private platform to maybe consider any adverse experiences that they've had in their life, and be able to consider how our emotions affect our behaviors. So one of the key signifiers or key elements of any kind of sort of domestic violence or domestic abuse is that there's often triggers and there's often catalysts. The more that we can connect with our behaviors, the more that we can understand our emotions and hopefully prevent those behaviors in the future. So the exhibition begins here at installation 1. I'll just say for when you do come and participate, sorry, I'm not used to the cameraman. So here there are stickers for you to choose, and they're all different age groups. So depending on the age group that you're in and the gender, you would take the stickers. I'm still in the 35 to 44 bracket, thank God. Okay, and then you take your stickers and make your way through the flow chart. And then you take your sticker off and put it in the answers as you go along. And hopefully there are options for everyone to reply to. And then we move along here. Maybe I will just take you around. Okay, if everyone wants to move down here. And then I think everyone could stand just in here. So this here is lenticular, which means if you stand in certain spots, maybe I'll stand the other side of that. If you stand in certain positions, you'll be able to see the picture as a whole. But this installation asks us to try to recognize healthy and unhealthy signifiers in relationships. We may be in a relationship with someone, a friend, a partner, it could be a family relationship where there's healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors. So in here, there are many different descriptors, and you choose which one of these descriptors that you think is a healthy behavior or an unhealthy behavior. So it's up to you to make the decision. And then you would take your sticker that you believe is healthy, and you can stick it on one of the healthy panels. And if you think it's an unhealthy, you can stick it on one of the unhealthy panels. I'm not going to move you guys again because I think it's a bit much. But if you can turn around and you can look at the other installation over there, this is based on something called the mood meter. And the mood meter was created by the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, and it's a way to get children to regulate and understand their emotions. And it doesn't just have to be applied to children, it can apply to adults too. Okay, I'm being encouraged to come over here. So the idea for this part of the installation is the mood meter is about to regulate, understand, label, express, and regulate your emotions. So recognize, understand, label, regulate, and express your emotions. So the idea here is how many times when people ask us something, do we use a limited amount of words to describe it? How do you feel today? I feel good. What happened to you? I was annoyed. But we don't necessarily really pick out the minute parts of our emotions. So on the mood meter, you have many, many, many different types of expressions. And the idea is that you will take 2 expressions and fill in the blank spaces. So for example, I feel when people I love who don't accept me for who I am, you might say that you feel, let me see, sad is one that you could put here, and there may be another one as well. You might also feel panicked. So this is for you to answer these questions using the different emotions here. And we have negative emotions and positive emotions, with the idea that the more that we can understand about our emotions, the more that we can understand our behaviors that come from these emotions. And then we're just going to go up here, and then we'll be finished. Yeah. So if you just come up here, and this is the final station. So on the trees here that you walk past, you'll see some stories that have come from people who have been through adverse situations, and these are stories of change and how that they have changed their behavior patterns, been through experiences, and overcome different types of adversity in their domestic situations, either with outside help or sort of internal help and working on themselves. And then our final 2 installations are here. This one here is to say thank you. So many people will have helped us in our lives, and if you've ever been in a position where you have got good advice from someone, or someone who has helped you through a difficult situation, this is your kind of chance to thank them. So you can take a token, you write their name and their relationship to you, and you can write how they helped you. And then once you've finished, you can put your token in here, and then other people will be able to read your story and what happened to you. And then the final part of the installation is not a compulsory participation, but it's a place that we have set up in here that is a safe space to share a story. So if you've been in a position where you've been affected by something and you've had no one to talk to and you want to express yourself about something that you have no place to discuss it, you can write your story in here, post your story in the mailbox, and this story will be uploaded anonymously and become part of the exhibition. So hopefully every day we will receive new stories from people and then we'll be able to share them. If you can't share them today, we have a website where you can share them anonymously outside of the exhibition if you're not comfortable doing it. And then this will kind of be an ongoing website that remains there with help. So I know that there's a busy schedule and everyone needs to sit down and get started. I hope that you all take the time to interact with the exhibits before you go home today. And thank you so much.
Yes, thanks a lot, Ms. Claire Driscoll, to represent the partner that go along with our Blue Heart 2022 today that organize a very impressive space that encourage and show our message today. So thanks a lot, Ms. Claire Driscoll, as well as to our distinguished guests today that go along and enjoy the tour. So once again, thanks, and I want to show our gratitude to everyone participating our launch today, Blue Heart 2022 this year. Just like every time, the communication campaign Blue Heart 2022 is organized to call for the attention of the public and organization to end violence against children and women in Vietnam. And to join our program today, I would love to welcome our distinguished guests. Madam Nguyễn Thị Hà, the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Labor, Invalid and Social Affairs. Please welcome Madam Rana Flowers, the UN representative, the UNICEF representative in Vietnam. I would like to show our gratitude to Elisa Messendet, the representative of UN Women in Vietnam. I would love to share our gratitude to Dr. Lê Bạch Dương, the representative of UNFPA in Vietnam. Also is the Cherry Russell, the director of Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade in Vietnam. And I would like to share out Mr. Đặng Hoa Nam, the Minister of the head of the Department of Children's Affairs of Molisa, and from the Ministry of Education and Training in Vietnam, also Ms. Nguyễn Thanh Cầm from the Committee of the National Assembly in Vietnam. And so from Nguyễn Thanh Duy from VCCI in Vietnam. And today we are very pleased to welcome the influencers in Vietnam that go along with our Blue Heart communication campaign throughout the years. Please welcome Miss Universe 2017, Her Han Ye. Also, please welcome the members from Đà Lạt. Please welcome the family of Hoàng Bách singer and the family of the actor singer Duy Khoa, as well as Mi Anh the singer. Ladies and gentlemen, today our event is attracted the presence of National Assembly, Line Ministries, the Embassy of Australia in Vietnam, as well as the presence of the journalism and news agency in Vietnam that go along, that support our Blue Heart communication campaign in Vietnam. So once again, please welcome to our program. And before we officially start our sharing and seminar today, on behalf of the organizer, I would love to invite all of the distinguished guests and as well as ladies and gentlemen, please go along. Please come to the stage to have a group photo. Please go on stage. Please welcome Miss Nguyễn Thị Hà, Miss Rana Flowers, Mr. Lê Bạch Dương, Miss Russell, and all of the distinguished guests that I've just invited and introduced before. Please go on stage. Please go on stage to have a group photo. Thank you. Please take a step back so we can have the best position for light. Thank you. Yeah, please stand by. Come closer so we can have a better group photo. Thank you. Không, tại vì là đang Thanks a lot for your presence in the group photo to start our program today, our event today. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the violence against children and women in Vietnam, it is very clearly seen that it is still a common problem, not just only in Vietnam, but also in a lot of other countries in the world, especially in the context of the pandemic, COVID-19 these years. So children and women has become the victims of the violence. So to continue the success of the communication campaign 2020 that organized by the departments of children affairs of UN Women, UN UNICEF, UNFDA, along with the support of the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, has launched the communication campaign named Blue Heart to raise the public awareness in the fight against violence against children and women, and to create a safe space for women and children in Vietnam. Our program, our campaign today has signal that you can see here is the blue heart. It represents the love, zero violence. Blue is the color of hope, of confidence, of trust in the fight against children and women. So now please pay your attention to the screen to see, to watch a video clip on the violence against women and children in Vietnam that have the participation of the UN representatives in Vietnam, please, and
Mỗi đứa trẻ đều muốn được đặt ở trung tâm thế giới của cha mẹ.
Mỗi trái tim nhỏ bé đều cần được yêu thương, thấu hiểu và sẻ chia. Mỗi bước con đi luôn cần ba mẹ dõi theo và bảo vệ khi cần.
Mỗi ngày, hãy dành cho con bạn một cái ôm, một cử chỉ yêu thương và một cuộc trò chuyện.
Love, understanding, and attention are always more powerful than force, than violence. Choose love, not force.
It's always the right time to share. Speak your truth and seek help.
Change can start with you right now.
Hãy lên tiếng, bạn sẽ được lắng nghe.
If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Stand with us today and every day to protect children
And the women from violence.
A hug,
A loving gesture.
a
conversation.
Trái tim xanh, một cái ôm.
Một cử chỉ yêu thương.
Và một cuộc trò chuyện. Trái tim xanh.
Tim xanh.
Just simply like that, but it can be the end of the nerve of all of the violence, domestic violence, and it can open all of the love for everyone. And I hope that all of the meaningful messages that are brought about from the UN agencies and other departments can be a bigger message and can spread for all of the public community to end violence against women and children. Ladies and gentlemen, to protect women and children from violence is a very special mission of UN agencies, especially UNICEF, UN Women, and UNFPA. And now please welcome on stage Madame Rana Flowers, the UNICEF representative in Vietnam, to have an opening speech. So please welcome to start the campaign today. Please welcome on stage.
Madam Nguyen Thi Ha, Vice Minister of Labour, Invalids and Social Affairs, representatives from the National Assembly, from line ministries, civil society, VCCI, colleagues from the Australian Embassy, United Nations sisters and brothers, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good morning to you all. Today is about breaking the silence. It is about standing together to raise our voices that violence against women, violence against children is never acceptable. Today is about asking society, asking our communities to stand and to deliver a message that we have zero tolerance to violence. And for that, I want to thank all of the influencers, the faces, the personalities, the talent that we have in the room today for joining us to share that message, to ensure that every child and every woman hears that they don't need to suffer violence, that we need to take a stand to protect them. I'm pleased to join all of you in the room today to represent that passion, that drive for change for women, for children. That is at the heart of the reason that the UN agencies have come together to work together with the government of Australia, with the government of Vietnam, to bring about the kind of change that will end the violence against women and children. Today I speak on behalf of the UN agencies, holding hands with the Australian Embassy and the government to launch the Blue Heart 2022 campaign to end violence against women and children. This initiative, well, it's part of a broader approach to ensure that the prevention of abuse is taken seriously and owned by everyone in the community. Our goal is to drive a system-wide approach where all ministries and agencies are accountable for the protection of women and children. They're accountable for addressing the issues with respect, honouring the dignity of women and children, holding the perpetrators accountable. This communication initiative amplifies the voices of public figures in a joint effort towards ending violence. Hand in hand, the partners here today, we will not stop until the approaches are in place in every community across Vietnam, actively implemented by all who play a role in that protection and support to women and children. Today we gather in the context, sadly, of continued violence across the globe, where millions continue to suffer, where their voices are barely a whisper, where the opportunity for safety does not exist. The opportunity for protection remain way too slim. And we know that of the numbers that are impacted by violence, there are millions more who are at risk. Violence can occur in any setting. It can occur in every household, rich and poor. It occurs in spaces that are meant to be safe, spaces such as homes and schools. Women suffer intolerable levels of physical, mental, economic, and sexual violence. And we know that the violent discipline practiced on children is still too common, used by too many parents, denying the hopes and opportunities to too many children. Violence is not random. It is perpetrated by someone known, most often intimate to the woman, most often known and trusted by the child. And despite the outcry, despite how many messages I get personally from people in Vietnam deeply concerned about the levels of violence, too few are reported, too few are investigated, and even fewer perpetrators are held to account. Here in Vietnam, annually, reported numbers of children who are sexually abused is around 1,500. We know the real figure is so much higher than that. We know that women, when asked about violence, will say that 90% of them, 9 out of 10, will tell us that they never told anyone, that they never reported the abuse they suffer. So that tells us the numbers of children and women who report are considerably higher than the numbers that we know. The Vietnam SDG indicators on children and women's survey, which was conducted last year here in Vietnam, indicated that more than 72% of children aged between 10 and 14 years experienced violent discipline. Emotional abuse was close to 40%. Physical abuse, close to 50%. Sexual abuse, 1 in 5 acknowledged that they were suffering sexual abuse. And neglect, just under 1 in 3. Each of those statistics represents a child. Each of those statistics represents a child that has not had that sense of safety, trust, and protection that every child in Vietnam deserves. Another study showed that 21.4% of adolescent girls and 7.9% of the boys reported having suicidal thoughts, and 5.8% of adolescents reported having attempted suicide. Nearly 2 in 3 women have encountered violence by an intimate partner that they should have been able to trust. Violence is hidden in Vietnam, as 90.4% of those who have suffered violence do not speak up, do not talk about it. And it's costing, not just in individual lives, in individual self-esteem, confidence, but it's costing nearly 2% of GDP here in Vietnam. The tip of the iceberg, yes. Violence in Vietnam remains invisible. And in fact, I see more frowning on the victims of violence than I do on the perpetrators. Invisible because it is perpetrated in homes. Invisible because too many turn a blind eye to the violence. Invisible because people fail to report it. Ladies and gentlemen, violence is destroying lives, it destroys families, and it really affects the futures of too many. When it occurs, Yes, there are physical wounds or bruises, and they may disappear, but the mental scars do not. Today, with the launch of the Blue Heart 2022 campaign, we hope to channel that outrage that we feel, that responsibility that we own to protect women and children. We call on the men and the boys who don't perpetrate violence to stand up, to raise their voices, and to help generate the message across Vietnam that we have zero tolerance to violence. We are urging every citizen, the lawmakers, the governments across the country, to speak up, to be more forceful, to take a stand against the violence. And it is only when people come together, only when we declare that violence is unacceptable, can we make the invisible visible. It's only when people start to speak that we can break this intergenerational cycle of violence and ensure that it is broken for good. As you all know, protecting women and children is at the very heart of the United Nations Charter. It's at the heart of the work that we do, and it's at the heart of the partnership which brings together UN Women, UNFPA and UNICEF to help add our weight, help add our voice to making a difference for the women and children of this country. We stand with the government of Vietnam. We thank the government for the actions taken, and we look forward to helping ensure that the system-wide approach is in place going forward. Violence is unacceptable, and only by working together can we make it stop. We thank you for being here. We thank you for raising your voice and bringing your influence to changing not just one child's life in Vietnam, to protecting not just one woman from abuse, but to reach every child and every woman in this country. Xin cảm ơn.
Xin được trân trọng cảm ơn bài phát biểu.
Madam Rana Flowers for your opening remarks, Chief Representative of UNICEF Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, as a state regulator mainly in charge of responding to violence against children and women in Vietnam, Melissa, over the years, has implemented many solutions and worked very closely with relevant agencies, including United Nations agencies. Now, I would like to give the floor to our representative from the state regulator, Vice Minister Nguyễn Thị Hà of Melissa, with her opening remarks. The floor is yours. Madam Rana Flowers, representative of UNICEF in Vietnam. Madam Elisa Fernandez, representative of UN Women in Vietnam. Dr. Lê Bạch Dương, acting representative of UNFPA in Vietnam. Madam Cherie Roussel, first secretary of the Australian Embassy to Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, guests of honor, our KOLs, and those participating in our launch of the Blue Heart campaign this morning. It is my great honor and pleasure to represent Melissa participating in this launch today. I'm very proud to be standing here to speak on behalf of the state regulator at a very special event, which is meaningful because we are in the last months of the Action Month for Children 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, violence against women and children has become a continued pain points of Vietnam over the years. The government of Vietnam has rolled out many efforts to reduce and put an end to violence against children and women in Vietnam. During and post-pandemic, state regulators, organizations, and local governments have together rolled out many measures against the negative consequences in the short term and long term caused by the pandemic on our people, and firstly against women and children in Vietnam. However, the battle against violence against women and children in Vietnam will be a continued one, and there remain many things that we have to do to achieve real significant results, and the results can only be achieved when we all stand together, all of us, organizations and individuals in the society. We need to take stronger actions in promoting concrete solutions so that we can fight against social vices. First and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation for the initiative made by United Nations agencies today, because we need to do so much more to raise awareness among our community members. We have to show respect towards women. We have to emphasize the fact that women have the right to be loved, to survive, to live in a healthy environment. And for children can only develop holistically in an environment of affection and love, not in environments of fear and violence, as demonstrated in the speeches made by Madam Rana Flowers, Madam Fernandez, Mr. Đặng Hoa Nam, or singer Duy Hoa. They have all raised their voice against violence in the video clip that we saw at the beginning of the program today. And it is very clear, children can only develop holistically in an environment where they're loved and cared for. That's why communications efforts, education efforts on parenting, on positive disciplining, educating your child without tears, with love, should be implemented more widely and more aggressively. Women and children first need love and peace in their own homes. And women and children should be equipped with skills and knowledge to defend themselves. They need also love and understanding from other family members. The laws against violence against women and children must empower them to take action, empower them to choose, make decisions on what they should do after their upheavals in life, so that we can all address violence more sustainably and effectively. They need love, understanding, support, and ongoing follow-up. Services must be invested and must be professionalized. They must be made more friendly towards women and children. Policies and laws should be refined so that we can empower women and children even more. And how effective our policies have been can only be measured by how accessible our services are. For example, services like the Ánh Dương House or the National Hotline 111. So these models should be expanded, not only the hotline, not only the shelters, but many more services, counseling services on parenting, on violence against women and children, for not only women, but also men, family members, and all members of society. With the emblem of the blue heart and the message of raising our voice, a warm hug, a warm embrace, a conversation, a gesture of love delivered to us by Madam Rana Flowers, Madam Fernandez, the First Secretary of the Australian Embassy, and our KOLs. I would like to echo their messages. I am convinced that this campaign, this communication campaign, will give us lessons, valuable lessons after the stressful period of the pandemic. And it is certain that it will create a spiral impact that will move the hearts of millions and millions of people. Ladies and gentlemen, over the years, over the course of the pandemic, the government of Vietnam has received magnificent support from United Nations agencies and Australian governments in the area of child and women protection. The timely support provided by these agencies show us, as mentioned by Madam Rana Flowers, that only when we're together, we're stronger. And our battle, our fight against violence against women and children, especially in domestic settings, can only show sustainable results. Once again, on behalf of Melissa and the government of Vietnam, we would like to recognize and thank the support from all of you. And I hope that we can have a successful fight against violence against women and children. And I wish us a successful journey of the Blue Heart campaign. And I hope that the campaign will have a spiral impact so many years forward. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Vice Minister Nguyễn Thị Hà of Melissa, for your welcome remarks and kind remarks. Thank you very much for the support provided personally by Madam Vice Minister and Melissa. Thank you very much for working with the Blue Heart campaign all the years. Ladies and gentlemen, to have a successful communication or public awareness campaign, we have to mention the active support of the donors. So this year, it is very fortunate that we have received support from the Australian government, which has provided support to many countries across Asia Pacific, including Vietnam, based on the principle of equity and justice. Right now, I would like to invite on stage Madam Sherry Russell, First Secretary Counselor of the Australian Embassy, to the stage to have her opening remarks. Thank you very much. So the floor is yours, Madam Russell.
Mr. Nam, Rana, Elisa, Zung, it's a pleasure to be here today with the Government of Vietnam and the United Nations. Firstly, this building is amazing. It's my first time here and it's a beautiful setting. Also, I wanted to acknowledge the beautiful exhibition. It's thought-provoking, it's wonderful, and hopefully we can share this with more of our community after today's event. I wanted to share a story when I first came to Vietnam, which was only 8 months ago. One of the first Vietnamese women that I met outside of the embassy was a woman who had a family member who was experiencing domestic violence. The family member went to the authorities who weren't supportive. She went to her immediate family who also weren't supportive. And I learnt from her sister that that was a very typical experience in Vietnam. It's also something that's quite typical in Australia and around the world. The woman who I was speaking to, whose family member was the victim of domestic violence, went on to forge a career advocating for victims and ending violence against women and children. And it really struck me how that one person's experience led to changing hundreds of lives for the better. So one voice can make a difference, and I think that's part of our Blue Heart campaign today. Australia has been working with the United Nations and the government of Vietnam now for over a year, and during the pandemic we saw an increase in demand for domestic violence services, as well as women and children who were arriving at shelters. And again, this is something that we were seeing in Australia and around the globe. So Australia felt very passionately about supporting Vietnam and the United Nations efforts to end violence against women and children. We're in a 5-year partnership to do this. Part of that campaign is the Blue Heart campaign. Our hope is that people across Vietnam know that violence isn't acceptable. They use their voice to stand up and to speak out. Those who are bystanders or witness violence against women and children, don't stay silent. As I said before, one person can make a difference. Our hope is that the services and support to break the cycle of violence increase and improve over those 5 years so that people do have more options and do have some support to change their lives for the better. Thank you very much. Xin cảm ơn.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Madam Cherry Russell, the Director of Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the representative of the donors and investor of our communication campaign, Blue Heart 2022 today. Once again, thanks a lot from the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the Embassy of Australia to go along with our campaign to bring peace for children and women. And now please pay your attention to the screen and on the stage to watch a clip, a very interesting video clip to see an interactive parenting exercise between parents and children to see the behaviors and the thoughts of children for the parents if the parents show their behaviors. So please watch our clip and to see it. Thank you.
Thì mẹ em thường sẽ tặng em cái gì hoặc là nói những lời nhẹ nhàng với em.
Bố mẹ ôm em.
Mẹ con sẽ thường hay ôm con.
Mẹ con đừng cho được con như thế này ạ.
Mình chẳng con chẳng nói gì cả.
Tại sao bây giờ con mới về? Con có biết là muộn học rồi không hả?
Mẹ em chỉ thẳng mặt em rồi. Mày tại sao lúc nào mày cũng không nghe lời tao vậy hả?
Trong một lần ấy, em bị được điểm kém thì mẹ em nói với em, đấy, mà nhìn con nhà người ta xem, con nhà người ta được điểm 9 điểm 10 mà mày lại được điểm 5 điểm 6, sao mà không giỏi bằng con nhà người ta đi. Thì lúc này là em cảm thấy kiểu là rất là bức chế. Sau đó mẹ em lại bảo là mày học gì mà mày học ngu thế, mày là người hay là mày là chó.
Thì em nhớ có một lần em đang ở trong phòng và bố em bất chợt đi vào và chả gõ cửa gì ạ. Thì thấy em đang đọc truyện tranh thì bố em kiểu trừng mắt không rồi kiểu mày đang học với mẹ đang làm trò gì ấy? Mày biết nhiệm vụ chính của mày bây giờ gì không? Hả? Cái này thì giúp ích được gì cho mày?
Thường hay so sánh em với người khác hay là thường sẽ dọa em, hoặc là nếu không dọa được thì mẹ em sẽ cầm chuột rất đánh như thế này. Mày biết cái đống bài tập đấy mày cũng không làm xong. Em luôn muốn mẹ em bình tĩnh và lắng nghe em. Em mong muốn mẹ em sẽ hiểu em hơn mà không cho rằng em là tự kỷ nữa.
Em hy vọng rằng là bố em sẽ có thể bình tĩnh và dành thời gian để lắng nghe những suy nghĩ của em nhiều hơn để hai bố con có thể hiểu nhau hơn.
Bố mẹ Nhi thích bố mẹ yêu em nhiều hơn.
Thứ nhất là làm bạn với con, thứ hai nữa là không bao giờ mình so sánh con của mình với người khác và không bao giờ là nói những cái lời quá nặng động đến cái suy nghĩ của con.
Luôn mong muốn là dạy con kỷ luật không nước mắt và tất cả những cái vấn đề trong cuộc sống thì chị muốn là sẽ được chia sẻ thẳng thắn với con.
Riêng với trẻ khác thì tôi không biết, nhưng riêng con nhà tôi phải đưa vào phương pháp kỷ luật.
Tôi thấy rằng là ngày xưa mình được dạy thế nào ấy thì mình dạy lại con thế là không có gì sai cả. Và ngoài ra là cái việc gọi là áp đặt để cho con vào khuôn khổ là mình nghĩ là đúng.
Việc nhận lỗi khi mà cha mẹ mắc sai lầm cũng là một cái điều tốt để cho làm một cái tấm gương để các con noi theo.
Không dùng đòn roi, cũng không dùng những cái lời nói mà mang tính chất là nặng nề, là bị làm cho con trẻ nó bị ảnh hưởng đến tâm lý.
Cái việc mà trở thành bạn của con và đồng hành cùng với con trong tất cả các cái bước đường cuộc sống thì chị nghĩ đó sẽ là cái phương pháp mà nuôi dạy con tốt nhất.
Đúng là thật ra thì chúng ta khi làm cha mẹ thì không có một lớp học nào dạy mình làm cha mẹ cả. Cái sự chú tâm sẽ giúp cho bạn có một cái sự tự tin và có những cái sự tin tưởng vào cha mẹ mình. Không chỉ là bạo lực bằng lời nói hay đòn roi đâu, mà cả niềm tin cũng là một cái điều mà chúng ta ý thức trong khi chúng ta đón nhận được sự chia sẻ của con cái và con cái thêm sự tin tưởng dành cho cha mẹ của mình như một người thực sự người bạn, người đồng hành, người đứng sau lưng các bạn ấy trong cái cuộc bước đường đời còn rất là dài.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just watched a very short video clip that we have recognized the thoughts and sharing of the children and also their parents about what they feel, what they think about their behavior, the parents' behaviors that happening daily. They can be some examples that you can see in our daily activities in the family, right? It's just a very typical parents and children. And we can see that there's a saying that when the child has first born, it was the first time for the child to be a child, and also for the parent to be the parent. So it is also the learning experience for not only the children but also for the parents. And now right here in this very special space, we would love to share with you interactive parenting exercise that is shown by parents and of the KOL and influencers. So you can see that when they are the famous people like that, what will they react? How will they react to the children's behavior? And we can see the way that they react to it, and we can see that how can we learn from that as well. So now please invite we would love to invite 3 parents and children, the family of the Hoàng Bách singer and the Duy Khoa family. Please come on stage to join our interactive parenting exercise. Singer Hoàng Bách and singer Duy Khoa has been very supportive to our communication campaign throughout the years. So here, please welcome on stage, one side from the parents, one for the children. So you will sit facing with each other. Please welcome Hoàng Bách and Meow Meow, the child of Hoàng Bách, and also from the very last couple of parent and children. Vượng and her mother, who always go and support Vượng to go approach her dream. So please come here on stage. And along with with Nga and Vượng is the interpreter, the side interpreter for us to understand more about the situation here. So now we will give the situation for each couple, a parent and children, and for each situation, please go on stage to stand in this specific position here to hold the micro and to stimulate the position of the situation and use all of the body language and other kind of languages, and to solve the problems. It can be emotional problem or any other problem of the child. So, are you ready? Okay. So the first situation is for singer Hoàng Bách and Minh Hà. So Minh Ha's nickname at home is Meow Meow, and she's 10 years old. So the situation is Meow Meow has been watching iPad for a long time, and Hoàng Bách doesn't want her to continuing watching. So in this situation, how can you go with a solution to solve it? So please, Hoàng Bách and Meow Meow, it's your turn. Okay, so Mel can just sit there and to play the iPad, or you can stand here, whatever you want to. Vâng, xin chào quý vị và các bạn.
It's your turn.
Con có thể ngồi lại ở đây giống như
You can sit here and to act like you are playing iPad continuously and your father just watched through and saw it through the window and show some signal to show you that you should stop playing the iPad. And now is the time for the conversation between you and your dad. Okay, so it's a serious playing for the child. Okay, meow meow. How long have you been playing with the iPad? I think you should turn it off. Do you want me to turn it off for you, or you want to turn it off yourself? Okay, I want to ask you another, once again, that question. You want me to turn it off for you or you? Okay, so I won't turn it off. We have a compromise before, right? Okay. But why you turn it off? Because we have already compromised, right? You have been playing for so long, right? For more than half an hour, right? I don't know. Okay, yes, you have already playing for more than half an hour, and we have already compromised that if you play more than 30 minutes, and if I call you 3 times and you don't listen to me, I will just turn it off myself, right? Right. And I have already called you for 3 times, and you didn't listen to me, and so she's now showing that she just played for 20 minutes, but not 30 minutes. But now we are acting on stage, right? Like 30 minutes, right? Okay, so do you remember that? Like whenever you behave like that, you have already ruined the rule. And I know that you like playing that, but it is not good. And if you, then now you can have just put yourself a punishment. If you can propose a punishment for yourself, what will it be? Okay, so if you can just propose a punishment, what will it be? Or you want me to put it for you? So the first choice is to go to your study room and study. The second option is to stop playing the iPad for 2 days. So what is your choice? Third option. Okay, so the third option should be like stop playing for 7 days. Okay, so what is the fourth or the fifth options? No, but we don't have the fifth or fourth option. We just only have 3 options. Okay, so I will just decide it yourself, right? Okay, so now you are at the age of under control of the parents. So I think I will just keep your iPad for 2 days. And I'm so sorry for that, but I will just choose for you like that, okay? So now please go to your room and study, okay? Okay, I know that you are not happy with this decision, but I think it is your decision, okay? Okay, so if you haven't recorded it, but I will just keep it for 2 days, and I will just do it for real. I will give it back to you when we go back to Saigon. Is it okay? Yes, the girl seems like to still continue waiting for the fourth or fifth options. I think she is now a bit confusing between going staying at home or to be on stage. So this is actually the second or third her second or third time to be on stage with me like this. So I think she's a bit confusing between being on stage and to be here. So sorry for that. Yeah, but I think you are very right. Like the children of the famous people, when we saw it from outside, we think that they should be very confident and familiar with stage. But no, it is not just like that, because they are still children. They are still in the age of not having too much knowledge or experience in on stage. It's not like a professional model or actor. So all of the facial expressions and behaviors of the child from the beginning to now, like when the Hoàng Bách gave option 2 or 1 or 2 and she wanted option 3, it is something very naive and innocent. So thanks a lot for your simulation. Please go back to your seat. Thank you. So you have seen and recognized the very specific point when Hoàng Bách talked to her child. You can see that first Hoàng Bách sat down to be on the same height with the child, so he can directly interact eye to eye with the child. It is very easy to show the to connect, because normally when we just look at the children from afar, from the above, it can show the negative feeling for the children. So when Hoàng Bách sit down and to have the eye contact with the children like that, to show the respect to the children. Secondly, Hoàng Bách showed use the full sentence with the children, with no screaming or shouting or scolding, and to show and to express his voice like the father or and child. It is a way to respect. So we can see that Meow Meow is a bit passively controlled in this situation, but she is not flown with the emotion of the father in this situation. So thanks a lot for that. And now we'll move to the second situation of Duy Khoa family, Duy Khoa singer and the 8-year-old child. So
our scenario is Duy Khoa promised to take his daughter to the swimming pool, but Duy Khoa is busy with his schedule. He couldn't keep his promise. How do they handle the situation? So Duy Khoa and Tuệ An, 8-year-old. Babe, today I'm very busy. I know I promised to take you to the swimming pool, but I'm having a schedule right now, so I can't take you to the swimming pool. How about another time? But you promised. I know, I promised, but it's an urgent business. I have to be there. How about another time? But I told my friends that I would go with them today to the swimming pool. Okay, sit here. Let's sit here. Okay. Who? An Nhiên. I told her I would go to the swimming pool with her. How about we calling them and telling her that my dad is busy. Let's go another time. But I want to go to the swimming pool now. Okay. Let's find another way. You want to go to the swimming pool, but I'm busy. How about I owe you a debt, right? And then I'll return it to you later. A hug? Maybe with a hug? No, I want swimming pool. It has to be swimming pool, huh? How about, do you have any other wish? You know, is there any other way for me? Because I have to make it to work and you want to go to swimming pool. Is there a way for us to settle the difference? You want me to go home early? But I have to be late today until 10 p.m., darling. Is there another way that you can help me just this time, right? I have no other idea. I've tried my best, darling. It's something at the company, a client is calling me and I have to finish work. It is not until 10 that I can go home. But you promised. I know I promised, but I couldn't keep the promise today. Is there any alternative for you to go to the swimming pool later and I can still fulfill my work? Tomorrow I go to school for the whole day, okay? Okay, I have the following options for you. So number one, today you will let me go to work, you will stay at home, you'll read books, you'll study and do what you want. That, and then two, I will go with you twice to the swimming pool on the weekend. How about that? Yes, okay, let's go with that. Pinky promise? Okay, let's write down our verbal agreement. On this weekend, we go to the swimming pool twice. Okay, twice. Not once, Daddy. Twice. Okay, twice. Okay, pinky promise. Thank you, darling. Thank you, Tuệ An. And thank you, singer Duy Khoa. Thank you very much. Duy Khoa had a really smart strategy, didn't he? Instead of thinking of options himself, he empowered his child to think of the options that satisfied her, making sure that it was democratic, making sure that he respected her. But on stage, this is on stage. At home, my child is always very persistent. I want to go to the swimming pool. But what I tried was that I hugged her, I embraced her, I try to calm down, even though she's been stubborn. But in reality, I have to tell you, it's not as easy as on stage. On stage, she made it easy for me. But it was smart of you, right? It was smart of you. Instead of telling her, stop asking for more, stop this, stop that, well, you stopped her tantrum by asking her questions, right? Giving her a scenario for her to think for herself. That's really smart. Thank you very much, singer Zifa and Dean. That was such an amazing experience. Great lessons learned from this couple. And we have the last scenario from Mother Vượng and Madam Nga and Vượng. Vượng received a bad grade in math. He was scolded by his teacher. He talked to his mother. And now, let's listen to their dialogue on how they settled this problem at school.
Okay, so why are you so sad today? You are scolded by the teacher because I got bad mark. Okay, so sit here. We can have a talk. Okay, so at what subject did you get bad mark? At maths. So which part of maths that you find most difficult? Well, the most part is to
solve math problems.
And so, what should you do to solve that problem? I don't think that I can solve it because I tried it over and over again, but it's still too difficult for me. So how did the teacher help you? Yes, the teacher helped me, and though he explained a lot, but it's still hard for me to understand it. So which part? Why do you think that you do not understand it? Possibly because of the methods that the teachers had, or maybe because of the math problem, too hard for me to understand. So probably because of the math problem that the teacher gave you, right? Too hard for you to understand, right? So can I help you with that? Well, yes, sure. Okay, so why are you so brave to show me that you have bad grade in math like that? Don't you think that I can scold you? Aren't you afraid of that? Yeah, I think that I should share with you because possibly maybe later I can be better. I can be better at school. So, and you are not afraid of when you show me all of the problem, I won't be angry. I can hate you or scold you. Are you afraid of that? Yeah, I am. But you see, I am not scolding you, like, right? Yeah, yeah, you are not scolding at me. So if you share the situation, the problem with me like that, how do you feel? I feel very happy and relieved because I can to show or to share with you all of these issues. So when you had bad grade, well, how do you feel? I feel quite sad. And when the teacher scolded at you, how did you feel? I felt scared when the teacher scolded at me. And now, so Vượng, do you want to be better in math? Yes, I want to. So what should you do? Well, I think I should just check it over and over again. And probably mommy should help me with different methods in studying. Okay, so let's just try together to be better in math, okay? Thanks a lot, Ms. Nga and Vượng. I don't know if you can see that Vượng is a familiar face. She's one of the children that is shown in the video clip that is shown at the beginning of the clip. So thanks a lot. Thanks again for your sharing and at the simulation, the interactive parenting. And to end our interactive parenting exercise today, I really want to hear from the sharing of a father that tried this exercise before. Please go on stage. Please share with us, singer Hoàng Bách, with the experience in being a father of the 3 children. Do you have any experience to share for the parents to practice as a very supportive parent for the children to avoid violence against children? Oh, I'm very surprised because sharing with people about being about parenting is for everyone is a very different experience, and to be the good parent we can somehow learn from someone, but the most important thing is to self-learning day by day. I also tell myself that no one can teach me to be a good father rather than my children. We can see the development of the children, the happiness in in the sparkling eyes, or in the way of show the saying of the children. So we can see that the behavior that we acted yesterday is the right action or not. So of course, to see the result to the children, like we can really see the result like that. It is a very long journey, and no one can just predict anything or say anything about the future. I believe that every parent love their children, but everyone has his or her own experience when they being a child themselves and when they grow up. So I believe that when we really listen to the children, we may have our own fault yesterday or even today in connecting and teaching our children to develop, to grow up. But I believe that all of the what we aim to is to be better day by day by observing the students and to listen to ourselves, to listen to our children. And I believe that with the heart of the loving heart of the parents that loving their children, we're going to be better day by day. I now have 3 children, and I have more than 15 years being a parent, I learned a lot from that, and I believe that I can still have more chances to develop in the future, because parenting is not just a 1 day or 2 day activity, but it appears every hour in our life, and I don't know, it will go to whenever. So I think it is a long journey of learning. So I thanks a lot, Mr. Hoàng Bách, for your sharing. I believe that just like growing a tree from the beginning, from the seed, the more we care about it, the more it can grow up, and the way that we show our love and caring to that seed, it can grow up beautifully in the future. So if we show our love to our children, our sharing, our caring to the children, we ourselves can feel that it is a very special journey, and very interesting journey, that being a parent. So thanks again for your sharing, and also I would love to show my thanks to the 3 children and parents that just joined our interactive parenting exercise.
Ladies and gentlemen, violence against women and children has been an alarming problem in Vietnam and across the world. And you can definitely see that message from the speeches delivered by our guests of honor. Violence affects both boys and girls, leaving short-term and long-term consequences on individuals and the society. The neglect or underreporting of violence have also been very common. Violence violates the rights of women and children, and we can all agree that violence is unacceptable. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, I would like to invite you to join a roundtable discussion right here on the stage of our launch of the Blue Heart campaign, with the participation of relevant agencies and KOLs in the society. Let's together respond to the problems of violence against women and children in Vietnam. It is my now honor to welcome on stage our panelists. Miss Universe Hờ Hèn Nghê, a really familiar messenger of the Blue Heart campaign. Please take the stage. Mr. Đặng Hoa Nam, Director of the Child Affairs Department. Madam Nguyễn Thị Y Duyên, Child Protection Specialist from UNICEF. Singer-actor Duy Khoa, Madam Lê Thị Lan Phương, and Mr. Nguyễn Quốc Phong. So please take the stage, our panelists. Wow. I'm very glad to be meeting you again. Really familiar faces with the Blue Heart campaign. Singer-actor Duy Khoa, Miss Hờ Hèn Nghê, who have been working with us over the past 2 years, and they have showed up in a number of our communications videos, and they have received a lot of love and support from their fans and parents across Vietnam. Once again, thank you very much, our panelists, our KOLs, and thank you very much for accepting to our invitation to be here today, joining us in the roundtable discussion. All right, first, I would like to address Miss Hờ Hèn Nghê. So Hen, is not just a beauty pageant queen, but she has a beautiful heart, kind heart. Aside from the activities as a Miss Universe, she has participated in many community activities, raising a voice in support of boys and girls and women in Vietnam and across the world. Could you please share with us and the viewers what you think are the causes of violence against women and children based on what you have observed in your local community growing up and in the community activities that you have participated in? Well, thank you very much for your question. First and foremost, my greetings to those who are attending this event on site and online. This is a very meaningful day for us to sit down together and share messages that are significant to the society. Now, I would like to speak of the causes that I have observed in my local community and communities that I have interacted with. So the biggest cause, in my opinion, is economic reasons. for economic reasons, many men really throw a tantrum on the women. I remember back when I was in high school, there was this man in my hamlet, in my village, that always committed violence against his wife. She never told anyone, but when I visited her, sometimes I can saw the bruises, I can saw the injury. She always told me excuses like, "Oh, a tree fell on me, I tripped, and that's the reason why I had these bruises or these lacerations." She never told me that she was beaten by her husband. So one day, it was raining on that day, and she was badly beaten by her husband, and she ran towards my home and asked for help, and she told us that she'd been beaten many times and she needed help. I was very small back then. I accompanied my mother to her home, and my mother told her husband not to beat his wife anymore. But when she raised her voice to our family back then, back in the day, after that day, and long after, her husband no longer beat her, and it was really positive, right? Because a lot of women in my hamlet thought, "Oh, I'm a woman, I have to suffer, I have to keep quiet." Sometimes after work, the husbands find the meals not very delicious or too salty. The husbands may kick the pots in the pans, kick the tables, or beat the wives. It's very common practice in my community, ethnic minority community. Another reason or the cause might be inequality or discrimination against women. What I have seen in local communities is child marriage, because they get married very early on while they're not very economically independent. They're still dependent on their husbands' families, and that's the reason why a lot of children are not cared for, because their young parents have to leave for cities for work, and it's a common situation in ethnic minority communities. Well, I always talk about child marriage, and I always, advise the families in my community that they should not do so, because child marriage can have a serious consequence on the children, because the children themselves are subjected to violence. Sometimes it's not because they hit their children intentionally, but because the pressure, they have to provide food on the table, they have to raise the animals, they have to take care of the elderly. There are so many pressure that family members are subjected to, and children are the most vulnerable. Sometimes it may be some light spanking, but those light spanking becomes a greater force against children in the families. And for me, it is very alarming, and it is something that we should bring to the attention of the public, because adults think of it as something that is really normal. It's normal for me to act so, and disciplining is a good way, spare the rod, spoil a child. That's what a lot of adults think. But when children are subjected to such negative disciplining, it can have a serious consequence on their mentality and their psychology. One of my friends, another participant in a beauty pageant contest, told me that she was subjected to violence, and when she was subjected to violence, she became more withdrawn in the family and the society, because she herself and her mother were subjected to violence. They couldn't raise their voice. And now that I participated in this beauty pageant contest, I also do not raise my voice, because I think that I'm respecting my father. I'm paying my respect to my father by keeping quiet. But it doesn't mean respect at all, in my opinion. It's more about constructive feedback. It's not about concealing bad practices in family settings. And there's another reason. It's a lack of awareness. Women, because of lack of education, don't know how to take care of their families. Sometimes they make the husbands feel like they're not doing a good job, for example. And sometimes they themselves as mothers don't know that love can nourish their children even more. And they think that the parents, fathers and mothers think that the rod will help the children grow up. There's another practice, matchmaking practices. Sometimes because of the matchmaking practice, it's the first time that the couples meet each other, and there's a lack of connection between the husband and the wife. And I feel like that lack of connection, that pre-existing connection, leads to violence in my communities. And a lot of men feel like the violence is something that satisfies what they're lacking inside. Well, from what you're saying, I feel like there is something that I can really observe as well in many families. Many children are subjected to violence, and that story of your friend losing trust and faith in community members because in her own home she was subjected to violence. She did not receive love or care or attention. Instead, she received violence, neglect. How can we raise a child who knows how to love, who knows how to trust, if in his or her own home settings they are not provided with such love and care in the first place? Thank you very much, Ms. Henie, for your sharing. Now I would like to address the next question to Mr. Đặng Hoa Nam, Director of the Child Affairs Department, Melissa, who is directly in charge of the child protection. So, Mr. Nam, could you please share with us the policies on how together we can engage all members in the society in the fight against violence against women and children in Vietnam? So, as mentioned by Ms. Henie, the reasons, the direct and indirect causes or drivers of violence include the lack of respect, the discrimination against women and children. People see women and children as a possession, a property, and not just in the case of violence perpetrated by men. It can be violence perpetrated by women. It is based on the lack of respect. It's based on inequality, discrimination, and those lead to the lack of affection, love. I don't know if I should be happy or sad. We have established a hotline, 111. Our operators daily, listen to many sad stories, many sad stories. Sometimes we never tell those stories to the media or the press. We just give you statistics. But we want to find solutions so that we can, hear less of those stories. The stories about violence against women and children, against the vulnerable in society, especially in domestic settings, in an environment that is very difficult for us to intervene. As mentioned by Mr. Nguyễn Thị Hà, as we launched this Blue Heart campaign, we find that it is very important for us to really embrace the voice of women and children. They need people to confide in. They need us to listen to their voices, and they need family members to listen to them. And our campaign is very important because it really moves the heart of the fathers and men in the families. And you know that in families, it is very important for other figures in the family to join hands. Even people like relatives, distant relatives even, because they are those, the neighbors, the distant relatives, are those who hear about these cases, who are aware of these cases. As mentioned by Vice Minister Ha, we need friendly and professional services provided to women and children, like Hotline 111 or the Peace House, the shelters like Anh Dương House in Quảng Ninh, for example. Those are great services. In terms of legislation and policy making, as you know, the law of children prescribes compulsory or mandatory reporting of violence cases, meaning it is required of community members, the media and the press, when you are aware of any cases of violence, including violence against women and children, you must immediately report or refer those cases to the state regulators. You can report to the National Hotline 111. You can report to the local police. You can report to anyone, really, so that those in charge can step in, can work with you to put a stop to the risks or the drivers of the violence. And together we can prevent re-victimization. I believe it is very important for us to develop these services even further. From the perspective of the government, it is essential for us to make investment in such services. We are making our investments, but we would like to call for support from all society members. It is mandatory for all community members, family members, distant relatives, neighbors, everyone. If you are aware of any cases of violence against women and children, please report those cases. Please bring them to our attention. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, there are administrative and penal sanctions against violence against women and children, and there are also administrative and penal sanctions against those who hide cases or do not report cases of violence. Administratively speaking, you may be fined if you delay reporting or if you do not report those cases that you're aware of. Thank you very much, Mr. Hoa Nam from Department of Child Affairs. So that together we can achieve our ultimate dream of zero violence against women and children, we need the engagement or support of family members, of neighbors who are very close to the women and children. There are also policy frameworks in place to enforce reporting, and there are means and services in place in support of parents and children so that we can really put our communication campaign into practice so that we can see real and concrete results. Together, gradually, step by step, we can bring down the number of cases of violence against women and children to zero. Now, I would like to address the next question to one of the organizations that has been very active in our Blue Heart campaign over the years, that is UN Women. Today, we have Ms. Lan Phương, a member of the UN Women's Campaign on Ending Violence Against Women. Could you please share with us UN Women's journey to ending violence against women in Vietnam? Thank you very much. Actually, it is a shared or common approach that we have with other UN agencies. Universally, and with the support of the Australian government, we have developed a universal or international framework to address the root causes of violence, as mentioned by Hen. It's like a respect, discrimination, equalities. That framework is called Respect Women. And there are 7 strategies that we have covered in that framework. So respect stands for, let me tell you what does respect stand for and explain to you why we need such comprehensive approach. So the R stands for relationship strengthening. It's all about parents, just like the video clip that you have seen already, have to develop their parenting skills, their communication skills so that they can refrain from violence. So couples have to really develop that skills so that they can express what they think they can express, or they can relieve their stress without resorting to violence. E stands for economic empowerment of women and girls. You know that in the society, women and girls and the vulnerable are at a disadvantaged position economically. So we have developed programs and projects to empower them economically so that they can make decisions financially in life. And S stands for services. So Mr. Nam from DCA stated very clearly the importance of making these services available for the access of women and children. They need channels, right, to report the cases. So P in respect stands for poverty reduction. As mentioned by Hen, one of the reasons that cause violence is, finance, poverty. These factors can lead to increased risk of violence. So poverty reduction projects and initiatives can help a great deal. Another E, or the next E, stands for environment, safe environment. Right? Environment means school settings, public settings, home settings. in all these settings, we have to make sure that women and children are safe. Measures should be put in place to really ensure that women and children are respected in all of their activities. And the next letter in respect is C. C is actually what we're doing right now. It's all about transforming social norms. T stands for transforming social norms, and communication campaign like the one we're having right now is a very special and important part of the 7 strategies. But transforming social norms itself or communications campaigns themselves cannot really change the status quo. We want to emphasize the fact that services should be available. We need to also strengthen the capacity of parents. We need to also reduce poverty, right? Altogether, these 7 strategies can help us see a bigger picture or a better picture for women and children. UN Women has introduced a essential services packages. It's like a one-stop service for all women. When we identify a case of violence, we can refer the victims to relevant services, not only in the sector of healthcare, but also in the police and justice services. The police officers and justice officers must intervene and provide women and children with the right services. And then we also cover social services in our essential services package. As we care about the psychological development of women and children, we need to cater to such needs. And coordination is very important. One-stop service. Women and children don't have to repeat the story of their pain many times. They just need to tell the story once, and they will be referred to relevant services. Thank you very much for your sharing. And we can see how these strategies can complement each other, how the United Nations agency complement each other, and how local agencies can complement each other in providing our services to women and children in the fight against violence. But we see another risk, the increased risk actually of violence against women and children due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As we see, lockdowns, we are now behind closed doors, we're inside 4 walls, we are subjected to financial and life stresses as the pandemic strike us. So there are statistics out there that tell us very clearly the increased risk of violence against children and women during the pandemic. I would like to address the next question to UNICEF's Child Protection Specialist, Madame Yi Duyên. UNICEF is working on, what are the solutions that UNICEF has been working on to address the increased risks of violence against children?
Yeah, so as Madame Rana Flowers has presented before in the opening ceremony, as long as we have a very tight partnership between relevant partners, we can only share our responsibility to our to children and women. So it has to be a partnership and cooperation between different partners, and specifically, in the COVID-19 pandemic, when children are locked down and locked into the house of all of the barriers, have to pay attention to the children, and also to take care to see the behaviors of the parents to the children, and to control our own behaviors and emotion, just like what Han shared before. The children and also the women can also see the behavior of Han or other people, to see that we don't have to get married in an early age, and to fight against violence, to show that the community can help us. And besides the women union and other women in the society, the family members are very important in playing that role as well. The parents had to practice the skills in parenting, and also to show all of the punishment, but without violence to the children. And besides that, we also have community that can support with a very strong attitude toward, which is zero to violence. And besides that, we also have the policy to support. We see that we have the policy to support the student to the children, but we can only reach to the students that reach to 16 years old. But along with the international law, children can be defined as people under 18. So we have to check out and to bring about some policies for children from age 16 to 18 as well. And we should have some services that have the investment of the government and some other stakeholders, companies and organizations and social organizations to give a hand in that. So as long as we have the participation of the government to invest in all of these services and to raise the voice for the violence against children and women, we can only end that violence. So thank you. Thanks a lot, Madam Yuzhen, for representing UNICEF to share the thoughts, not only for the parents, but also for other stakeholders. And with all of the sharing from Mr. Hoa Nam and Ms. Lan Phương, there is one initiative that is successfully launched in Vietnam, which is Ảnh Dương House. This is a unit belonging to Quảng Ninh, and it will perceive the services that support women and children in all of the in every way. So I want to ask Mr. Nguyễn Phúc Phong, the head of the Ảnh Dương House of Quảng Ninh, can you share with us more about the Ảnh Dương House and the supporting activities for women and children, as long as well as the reason why the name is Ảnh Dương House? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you may know, the fight against violence against women and children has been brought about for so many ministries and organizations before. For us, we want to give our service to the women and the children that was affected by the violence. So the reason why we named it Ảnh Dương, the sunshine, which is there are a lot of organizations that have actions for the women and children. We can see that even when we name something, even for our children, it means our hope for that one. So when we first named that, we thought about Quảng Ninh House or Hạ Long's house, but then we realized that just Ảnh Dương House, the sunshine house, is simple enough to show that for the women, when they come to us, they have no other options. We are like the last resort for them. So it is like a sunshine for them. Like when they come to us, they can have trust and believe in us. So that's why we name it like that. So we have our first three main purposes in launching that. The first is to change the public awareness because it has also included the culture of the Eastern people, including Vietnam, and it also involves in the gender-based violence. So the second one is we can timely support the women and children whenever they have any problems, and also to raise our voice in the decision making, the law making, to change the life of the women and children. Also, we want to be a contact point for the women and children. So first, we use our service totally free, and then we can support them with our services, our available services, the safe house for the victims, and then we can have our medical support, and then to the psychological support and guidance for the women and children. We're also equipped with skills and knowledge in dealing with the situation and the problems that the victims have, because each victim can have their own problems. So we can work with the police and justice and agency and department to solve that, and also to work with the education and training agency to support and to help them so they can, if they are like of the skills or the work, that we can support them with that. So that's what our Anh Dương House care about, and we are the Mulisa supports it a lot, especially the Quảng Ninh branch care about it, and we were appreciated by a lot of other line ministries, and we provide basic services for the community, and we also have our human resources that are that can provide the service for the people, and through advising through hotline and some other activities. And it's not just about Quảng Ninh, but also some other department from the justice and from the also from different levels, both national and local levels, care about our activities as well. So we also have some other preventing, and especially in the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, we are updated with the media platforms for the victims. And one more thing is, whenever the victim wants to go to us, we can the victim can approach it through our hotline, the Anh Dương House hotline, and it is also connected to the 111 hotline that we shared before of the Department of Children Affairs. And also when we launched it, we realized that it's not just about bringing them to the safe house, but also to the hotline. And we have received more than 15,300 calls from the victims, and more than 400 calls are from violence victims. So the people that came to us, we have more than 20 victims that supported in our safe house, and they have now settled with their life. And even when they finish the time in our house, we can still catch up with them and continuing following them in their lives and the development. So thanks a lot in your sharing. And I hope that with the success of the Anh Dương House model, we can spread that model into other cities in Vietnam, so we can timely support the victims, and also to provide that kind of safe house to the women and children who are affected from the violence. So thanks a lot from thank a lot Anh Dương House Human Resources and the team for answering more than 15,000 calls from the victims like that, and also to welcome and heal the others victims that came to them. So the last one is from Duy Hoa, not just only an influencer, the one who can have a great impact to the community, but he is also a parent, a man in the house. So what do you think as the role that a man can play in fighting that violence against women and children? And for your own experience, please welcome. So before that, I can ask the audience here, can you raise your hand if you have children? Can you raise your hand if you have children? Yeah, so anyone here, has anyone fought the child or scolded the child violently in both language and physically? So whenever I decided or I tended to hit the students, I thought about me as a role of a representative of UNICEF in this fight against violence. But not everyone can have a chance for me, like as a famous person, to be a representative like that. So when you look at me, you can think about me like, he is a handsome man, he is a famous one, and he will never hit his children. But no, from every perspective or position in life, we can somehow become the one using violence to our children, purposefully or not. So the fastest way to, because it's the fastest way to ask the students, to ask the children to follow our ideas. If you want to go to swimming pool, but I don't want you to go to swimming pool, I just need to hit him or her, right? So it is the fastest way and easiest way. So we often use that, but we don't often think about the harder way, which is to hug our children or to comfort or pamper them and to explain the reason to them. So even for me, sometimes, because it's the harder option, so sometimes for me it is hard for me to control my own behavior and to not using violence to the children. Sometimes it is hard for me to sleep at night because I recognize that I shouldn't use violence for my children like that, because I know that a lot of parents think about using violence as the way of showing love, but not thinking about that as the way of violence. So I really want to show that, to share it with everyone, like not just only me as a famous person that have money or good at economy, like have a stable in financial things, can be like that, but everyone can show our love to our children without using violence. So there is one thing that I can show it, that I have for myself, which is power of one. Just whenever I have that anger in myself, I just need to have 1 minute to my for both me and my child, for my children, to just hug them, to hold them, to just stay silent and to calm down 1 hour for me to have time for the children, to play with them. So if I don't have money, I can just play it at home, not just need to go outside to bring the children outside, right? So just 1 minute of hugging the students, just 1 hour of playing with the children. It can be used in every family, no matter no matter what the financial stability that you have or not. So it is something that my own experience to deal with that.
Right, thank you very much. I agree with you, right? 1 minute of embrace, 1 hour of quality time to spend on your children. If we don't want something, we'll find excuses. But if we want to do something, we'll find a way. Regardless of our economic status, our level of awareness or education, we have our own ways of expressing affection towards our children. And you are offering that love and affection towards your own family members, your wives and your children. All right, thank you very much, our panelists, for joining us in the roundtable discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, among many interesting activities initiated in the Blue Heart campaign this year, there is this one very, very special activity that I'm sure will provide many touch points for all of you and those out there in the community. That is music. Music is the language of love, a language that we can all understand. It is the key to understanding, the key to affection, and music brings us closer. Music is transboundary. And to spread our message even further, this year we welcome new KOLs, including Dalap Band and young singer Mi Anh. So Dalap and Mi Anh have worked together, and Hoàng Bách, singer Hoàng Bách and Miss Henie, we have produced a music video for our Blue Heart campaign 2022. And the music video is actually a song converted from the song by Dalap called Một Nhà, One Home. Now I would like to invite all of you to have a look at the screen to watch this music video of the Blue Heart campaign with a message of ending violence against women and children. Please enjoy.
Tôi sẽ tiếp tục lan tỏa những điều này. Xin mời quý vị hãy theo dõi chương trình trong tập tiếp theo nhé.
Khi hai ta về một nhà, có chung nhau những đứa con, dù con mơ cùng một giấc, thức giấc chung một giờ, theo chân con chung một đường, ta vui chung một nỗi vui, nước mắt rơi một dòng, sẽ chia nhau một đời.
Vẫn ánh mắt này sáng long lanh, như trời cao mây trắng trong lành. Đến hôm nay anh vẫn chưa thể tin ta đã về đây với nhau. Như những lúc ta chưa thấu hiểu nhau, một vài câu nói khiến ta cách xa. Đến hôm nay ta vẫn chung một lối, anh mong mình luôn yêu thương có nhau. Ta giờ đây luôn sẽ chia, ta cùng đón tương lai, tay cầm tay ta cùng lo cho con chiếc đường dài. Như lời hứa anh đã nói ngay từ phút giây đầu, chúng ta sẽ về chung một nhà. Dẫu gian khó dẫu mưa gió ta cùng đón ngày mai. Ta thường nghe sau cơn mưa là chia sẻ nắng lại. Như lời hứa anh đã nói ngay từ phút giây đầu, chúng ta đã về chung một nhà.
Khi ta đi về một nhà, nấu chung nhau một bữa cơm, đôi khi mơ cùng một giấc, thức giấc trong một giờ, luôn yêu thương và chia sẻ, ta vui chung một nỗi vui, nước mắt rơi một dòng, sống chung nhau.
Alo ba mẹ, con đang lái xe chuẩn bị ra về, 10 tiếng mệt mỏi đi học muốn kể với mẹ ngày dài ghê. Đường về nắng gió bụi bặm làm con mỏi như cả đôi vai, bài học cô dạy vẫn còn như đang văng vẳng bên tai. Ba mẹ hôm nay con có thể về nhà sớm hơn, buổi tối ba sẽ nấu món con thích cả nhà chờ cơm. Mẹ ơi con không còn phải về muộn nữa vì học thêm, những kỳ thi đã xong ôm những giấc ngủ êm.
Ba biết từ khi lên mẹ ba chẳng mấy khi phụ việc nhà, cuối tuần lại còn hát hò chẳng lo được chuyện gần xa. Đêm ngày lại lo làm lúc có lúc nặng lời với con buồn vui trên lớp ba từng bỏ lỡ luôn. Cảm ơn mẹ vì những tháng ngày qua đã đến bên ba, cảm ơn con đã là trái tim xanh ước mơ trong ba. Xin lỗi con vì những tối thức muộn cùng mẹ chờ cơm, ba rất yêu mẹ và con luôn ở bên che chở hai mẹ con nhiều.
Khi ta đi về một nhà, nấu chung nhau một bữa cơm, đôi khi mơ cùng một giấc, thức giấc chung một giờ, luôn yêu thương và chia sẻ, ta vui chung một nỗi vui, nước mắt rơi một dòng, sống chung nhau một đời.
Khi hai ta về một nhà, có chung nhau những đứa con, dù con mơ cùng một giấc, thức giấc chung một giờ, theo chân con chung một đường, ta vui chung một nỗi vui, nước mắt rơi một dòng, sẽ chia nhau một đời.
To thank Dalap and singer Mi Anh and Miss Henie, as well as singer Hoàng Bach's family for showing up in the music video. Now I'd like to invite Dalap and Mi Anh to the stage to extend their greetings and messages to our audience. So please take the stage, young singer Mi Anh and members of the band Dalap. To be honest, I'm your big fan. Since you were single, now that you've got parents, you've got your own families and children, now you've become fathers in your families. I would like to thank you, DALAP members, and Mi Anh for supporting our campaign this year and helping us produce such an adorable music video. So DALAP, why did you agree to participate in the campaign this year? First, we'd like to extend our sincerest greetings to our audience. I hope that DALAP and the organizers will work with each other successfully to bring off this Blue Heart campaign as helping to protect women and children in Vietnam. DALAP, just like everyone here, we're married, we have children, we have wives, and we understand how important it is that we play that role in protecting our wives and children physically and mentally. We have followed many activities of UNICEF, and it's a great honor for us to be selected by you to participate in the campaign this year, and we hope that we can contribute a voice to making the society a better place and a safer environment for women and children in Vietnam. Well, I would like to address this question to the members of DALAP themselves. Well, as fathers, what have you been doing or will you do to support ending violence against women and children in Vietnam? Well, before we got to know and engaged in this campaign, we had already had many songs about families, and when we come to know the campaign, we were very happy to join because it is a meaningful campaign. As fathers, as husbands, we have contributed by filming the music video and rewriting our lyrics, the lyrics of our very famous song One Home. We're very excited, and we promise that we will contribute to our best to the success of the campaign this year. Well, I have the honor to be standing here with a young, very influential singer, young singer Mi Anh, who is standing right now on the edge of the stage. Could you please move here a little bit so that we can have a conversation with each other? All right, Mi Anh is known not only as a singer, but also as an activist. And this year, with your engagement in the Blue Heart campaign, what are the specific activities that you have conducted, and what do you think is the role of young people in changing social norms? The norms that are outdated, that are contributing to the perpetuation of violence. What do you think you can do to contribute to the transformation of such social norms? First, my greetings to all of you who are here on site and online. It is my honor and pleasure to be invited here to speak very briefly, and right now I will just speak in English. Vâng, xin gửi lời chào buổi sáng đến tất cả quý vị. Tên tôi là Mỹ Anh và tôi thực sự là rất vui khi được có mặt trong sự kiện ngày hôm nay để
in such a beautiful and meaningful project, and it is a topic that I am very passionate about. With so many things that is happening all the time, here and there, I think that it is very easy for a single individual in such a big community to feel like we don't have enough power to contribute to a bigger change. However, I think the role of the youth and the role of younger people is so vital to a brighter future. And I think that it is so important for us to start early and start educating younger people and giving them the right information and tools to be able to protect themselves and to be able to share that information for the bigger community. Once again, thank you UNICEF and other United Nations organizations for having me, and các anh DALAP, and thank you so much.
Cảm ơn những chia sẻ của
Mỹ và tạo cơ hội cho em tham dự vào chiến dịch này. Well, as you can see, to create an influence spill over spillover effect on the society. Aside from policies, regulations from the government, the voice of young people represented by Me, Anh, and Dala is key to the end goal of reaching out to young parents, young dads, young moms. Doesn't matter if you have children yet, we can all raise our voice, we can all stand up so that together we can end violence against women and children in Vietnam. Once again, thank you very much, Dala, for such an adorable song. Thank you, Mi Anh, for joining us in the music video, and thank you, our KOLs, for accompanying our Blue Heart campaign. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, participants, after we have watched the roundtable discussion, we have listened to the voice of our KOLs. Before we conclude our launch today, we would like to listen to a concluding speech of the agencies involved in our campaign. I would like to invite on stage Mr. Đặng Hoa Nam, Director of the Department of Child Affairs. Could you please share with us the 3 lessons that you have learned from our event today? Or do you have any tips that you would like to share with our audience before we close our event? Ladies and gentlemen, today it is my great pleasure to be participating in this launch. As someone in charge of child protection, many people call me bác or chú, meaning uncle. I have 2 children. I have 2 children at home, 1 wife, and I would like to tell you that I'm also one of the members that found the network of men standing up against violence. It is a huge responsibility for all of us, but it's easy at the same time because we can all come to this event and this campaign with our heart and kindness, and we can all express our kindness. We can together fight against any discrimination against women and children. Joining the launch today, I will bring home blue hearts. So the blue hearts are my important takeaways. And I hope that all of us can spread those blue hearts of love and peace, of affection and understanding to all families, all communities across Vietnam, so that the message of Blue Heart can be spread far and wide. Once again, I would like to thank all United Nations agencies and regulators and our KOLs, our singers and artists, and thank you very much, our audience, our parents, for supporting our launch so that together we can share these messages and takeaways of Blue Heart that I'm sure you will be taken home after the event. Thank you very much, Mr. Đặng Hoa Nam, for your important takeaways representing Melissa, Department of Child Affairs. And now I would like to invite on stage Madam Elisa Fernandez, representing UN agencies, to share with us her takeaways or the messages that she would like to impart upon our audience. So the stage is yours. Vâng, kính thưa các đồng nghiệp thân mến, đến
Melissa, Department of Child, and also representatives from the National Assembly, line ministries, civil society, colleagues from the Australian Embassy, from the United Nations and international organizations. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Chào các bạn. On behalf of the 3 United Nations agencies, the UNICEF, UNFPA, and UN Women, I would like to thank you all for joining us this morning as the Blue Heart Messengers for Change. After listening to all your sharings and stories about violence against women and children, I would like to highlight 3 messages for us to take away. The first one is that violence against children and women are interconnected. We can see this connection when we reflect about the risk factors, when we reflect about underlying social norms, co-occurrence, intergenerational effects, and the compounded effects over time. But at the same time, this interrelation represents an opportunity for us, because that means that we can all work together on ending violence against women and children simultaneously, both at the prevention and the response level. My second reflection is that addressing violence against children and women needs a comprehensive approach at all levels. So we need evidence-based interventions at the level of the individual, but also at the level of the family, at the level of the community, and societies at large. So it's very important that all of us, the actors who work in these two areas, violence against women and children, at the level of policy, programs, and services, that we integrate the work, we collaborate, and we work together to provide a comprehensive response. And it's very important, as it was said today, that we focus on violence that occurs within the spaces and relationships of trust. So we're talking within dating relationships, within intimate partner relationships, in families, in schools, together. And as the UN, we stand here next to you, government, with civil society, to support you in this important challenge and work. Finally, I want to reiterate a message that was said clear and loud today. Violence against women and children is unacceptable, but it's also preventable, and we all have a role to play. So it is very important that you take the inspiration, all the great ideas, role-playings, interventions, and we take those inspirations to take some concrete actions. So let's go back home and make sure that we show respect to all women and children in our lives, that we listen to their opinions, that we speak out when we see or know about situations of violence, and that we spread your message that we have discussed today. Go talk to your family, to your friends, to your colleagues, to your classmates about everything you learned today, so that we can together ensure that all women and children in Vietnam can live a life free from violence. Xin cảm ơn.
Xin được cảm ơn bà Eliza Fernandez, và những chia sẻ của bà Eliza cũng đã khép lại
Your concluding remarks, and her remarks have concluded also the launch of the Blue Heart campaign today. Ladies and gentlemen, remember our hashtags. Hashtag Blue Hearts and hashtag End Violence. Back on track, making sure that homes are a place that we can feel safe and secure. Let's join us in spreading this message on your social medias, to your friends, to all your acquaintances, so that they will support the message of zero tolerance against violence against women and children. So remember our hashtags and share our events on your social media. Thank you very much for your support towards the campaign, as well as towards women and children in Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, no matter where we are, we have a common goal. We have one heart, one blue heart of love and affection. There is no reason why we don't turn those acts of kindness into real strong actions. And we believe that the messages will not stop here among us, among our guest speakers, but our message will be spread to more and more people in the broader society. Thank you very much, and see you in upcoming events of United Nations agencies contributing to the elimination of violence against women and children in Vietnam. Thank you once again.